Hey guys, we are in the basement, and today guys, on this episode of John's Arcade, well guys, this is it, right here. This is it. This is the last, and I mean last, Journey monitor video forever. I do not ever want to revisit this topic after this video because no matter what, by the end of this video, that monitor that goes in that Journey, the G07, will be working. I promise you. I will not let this video end any other way, okay? And we've got some options, okay? So we might get lucky. We might fix that G07 that we've been working on the last few weeks. And if you guys missed it, we're having some weird vertical problems. We'll see it when we go to the garage. But if I can't figure it out, I'm replacing the chassis. I just have to. I have to move on with my life. And Servo, actually, from the John's Arcade Forum, sent me another chassis. So we've got all kinds of options here for this video. So anyway, enough of that. Let's just go to the garage and get to work on that G07, and hopefully, actually not hopefully, by the end of this video, we are going to be playing Journey. So, all right, guys, let's go to the garage. All right, guys, we're back in the garage. And yes, the Journey monitor is still dead. Now listen, this is gonna be the last Journey monitor video. I promise you this. I am not stopping this video. I'm not cutting away. I'm not ending it unless this monitor is fixed, okay? This video ends with this monitor working in the basement. That's it. And we've got a lot of choices ahead of us here, but let's kind of quickly review. So the monitor's doing this, okay? And I don't really know what to call this. Right now we have the test pattern generator running from Crafty Mech here. And if I go through the various tests, you can see what the monitor's doing, okay? So it's like it's drawing like this. It's weird. It's like it's not going all the way across when it scans. And like, look at the grid pattern. If I can get to it, that's the falling. I mean, it is just completely messed up. And, you know, this was a monitor that I rebuilt a long time ago when we did the Journey restoration back in 2014, I think it was. And the monitor was fine for a long time, and then all of a sudden one day I had collapse, okay? And I was able to fix it by reseating the yoke connector, okay? And that fixed it for a few months, and then the collapse came back, okay? And then we brought the chassis to the garage, we replaced the vertical ICs and reflowed solder, okay? And now we have this. And I don't know what to make of it. And the thing is, we have looked at this chassis over and over and over. We've double-checked our work. We replaced the vertical ICs again. Still have this. We double-checked our work where we reflowed the solder. We still have this. I mean, it's possible that there's still a solder joint that maybe when I reflowed, I bridged it. I don't know. I can't find it. And so we're kind of stuck here. However, in this video, we're going to try a couple things, because I've been reading all the comments. There's been a lot of comments about this. I know Todd Tuckey said to look at the tube at the yoke. Maybe the yoke is bad. And I have another tube right here on the ground that we're going to try. Okay, that was a G07 tube I used actually I removed that from my Domino Man a long time ago. I don't remember how it went down, but somehow that tube was on my shelf, and it's got Domino Man burn. So I believe that's from the Domino Man when we did that restore a long time ago. I actually didn't even film that, and I swapped the monitor with another one. I think I put a 4900 in there, and actually I have a 4900 on the shelf over there that's working, that we could just throw in the Journey right now and move on. But where's the fun in that? So what I want to do a couple things. Again, the comments, there was a common theme throughout the comments, I thought. Yoke and tube. Okay, we have not verified that this is a tube issue. It could be a tube issue, so we're going to do that first, okay? We're going to remove this chassis and put it in that other tube and see what happens. Another thing that kept coming up was caps. And I talked to Ian Kellogg, too. And he thought I should maybe recap the monitor because maybe some of the caps in the vertical section went bad. And maybe, you know, with these new parts, right, if the caps were out of spec, you know, these are old Bob Roberts caps, you know, there could be a bad cap. that's doing this, you know? And maybe when I put the new parts in, it kind of strained the caps. I have no idea. I'm just guessing right now. The other thing that kept coming up was this IC 501. It's like X501, whatever. That's underneath this little metal cage over here. And also, let me show you all the options we have here for this video, okay? Like, I'm not kidding here. We're not ending this video unless that monitor is working, okay? So we have this chassis right here that was on my shelf. I don't know where this came from. This chassis is currently dead. This actually might even go with that Domino Man tube. I don't really know, okay? Actually, I think this was from the Domino Man. It is. This is the one with the cracked neck. That's right. This is the chassis that was in the Domino Man. And you can see how filthy it is. This had a cracked neck. The game was stored on its side. There was mice living all over it, and it's just gross. And so I've been using this kind of as a junk chassis. But this chassis here, I don't know where this came from, but we tried it in the last video, and it's dead. It's not doing anything. So as a last resort, we could rebuild this. I talked to Ian Kellogg at iankellogg.com, and he sent me a John's Arcade cap kit. Actually, I have the deluxe one here, so if we were to rebuild it, maybe we'd use the G07 deluxe. Again, this is a John's Arcade branded kit. You get these at iankellogg.com. Ian also sent me a replacement flyback and a hot, which is in here. So if we were to cap this thing, replace the flyback, replace the hot, in theory, this one should work, and then we could just move on with our life. And then also, Servo, on the John's Arcade forum, sent me this chassis right here, okay? So now we have yet another chassis. He sent me a little note. It says, I included a new flyback. I think it's part of Bob's old stock, so he sent me this flyback right here. Okay, because you can see the flyback that's on here now, the end is all chopped off, so we can't even make contact with it. But he says, I included a new flyback. I think it's part of Bob's old stock. Would have installed it myself, but I thought it would make for a good video. I'm pretty sure this chassis was working before I pulled it. Oh well, give it a shot, Servo. So, at the very least, in this video, too, I'm thinking about changing out this flyback and seeing what this chassis does. And maybe at the end of the video, we'll end up with a couple of working G07 chassis. And there's nothing wrong with that. I can put this on my shelf for a later game. So I think what we're going to do first here... Oh, this is interesting over here. There's a fuse. They remote mounted the fuse. Well, I've never seen that before. Huh. So right here, that fuse, that inline fuse that's kind of soldered to the board, they relocated it to over here. Boy, I've never seen that mod. And I guess if we do replace this flyback, we can undo this mod. I'm pretty sure Ian's kit includes that fuse. Yeah, it does, right here. So he includes the inline fuses. I can see them right there. So we can, you know, that's a very uncommon fuse, hard to find, a little pigtail fuse. So, okay, here's what we're going to do. What I'm going to do real quick here is just kind of make some room. I'm going to bring the other tube over here, and then we're going to need to basically remove the chassis from this tube and put it in the other one and see if we can, and this way, if we try another tube, we can rule out the yoke in the tube, and that way we know for sure the problem is indeed on the chassis of the monitor, the G07 chassis, and it's not a yoke or tube issue. So, all right, let me clean up and I'll come right back. Okay, I have the tube over here. Now, the one thing I noticed is that the degauss coil right here has come off. So that's the ground for the neck board. This is the degauss circuit right here. So I'm going to kind of maybe see if we can just kind of zip strip this on here. I mean, for testing, it's really not a big deal, but let's see if I can kind of make this thing stay put. Throw some ties here in the corners. I think originally there was like rubber that was holding this and it rotted. Alright, I think that's okay for now. The bottom is just kind of loose, but who cares? Alright, so let's come over here. We're going to dismantle this, discharge it, and all that good stuff. Let me unplug this. And let's turn off our TPG. And we're going to have to discharge this real quick. let's disconnect the power. All right, let me get my discharge tool. Yeah, I know, we're still working on this game. On this monitor. We need closure, guys. We have to put the basement back together, put the journey back together, and then move on with our life. All right, so let's discharge this real quick. All right, so one hand in your pocket, and we're gonna go under the anode, and you're gonna hear a little snap, not usually, but not always, but we did that time, so we're all discharged. Okay, so let's remove the chassis really quick. Where are my bits? Right size. Okay. That little screw fell right there. Alright, so we're just going to remove the neck board. And by the way, I want to tell you guys, I came out here the other night, and I turned the monitor on, and I just started wiggling everything. And just because you remember, like a few weeks ago or a month ago, whatever it was, I was in the basement, and you guys said that the picture went stable for a split second when I was wiggling stuff, right? And I really started thinking about that, and I don't really know what I wiggled, but I came in here the other night and I wiggled everything, and I could not get it. I could not get the picture to stabilize at all, and I was wiggling everything. Okay, so the chassis is free. So let's come over here and we're gonna put it in this old crusty tube. Okay, so let's get our screws. Now, if this tube turns out to be good, that's interesting. I'm not sure what I'm going to do because it's got Domino Man burn on it. Do we swap yokes? We could. Thankfully, these G07s are pretty easy to take apart and put back together. Still annoying though. Alright, so here's the ground. Okay. And then here's the degauze. Alright, here's the yoke wires right here. There's our power connector. So, I mean, this thing's been sitting on my shelf for years, but we might as well discharge it still before I put my hand over here. Just kind of get this dust off of here. Okay. And then here's the decause. Okay, so we should be all good to go here. I never really noticed those before on the back. Let me just kind of look at this. It's interesting. But that's just the colors, though. I think if there was an issue with those wires right there, it would be color related, not sync. Okay, so we're ready to give this a shot. So let me, let's remove our journey tube from the table here. I'm gonna put it on the ground carefully. Okay, and then we'll bring over the Domino Man. So I'll make sure I got everything hooked up right. This thing was so filthy, I had to, actually, I blew it off with my leaf blower. But look at the front of that. You can see the Domino Man burn right here. So let's see what happens. Let's get the TPG. I just want to double check my connections. I feel like I did that really quick. Let's take a look here. So our video connection is going to go back there. Okay. Degauss coil, yoke connected. The ground from the tube to the neck board is connected. So yeah, I guess everything is connected. So we just need to make our video connection right here. And with the G07, I've been using the 6-pin, the single 6-pin connector, and have not been splitting up the sync and the signal. Oh, that's tight. And I do get sync that way. All right, guys, you ready? So what's going to happen here? Let's get our power. All right, here we go. I'm going to plug it in. So what are the odds that the problem is the tube and the yoke? We're going to find out right now. All right, here we go. Okay, we got HV. Turn on the TPG. It's funny, when that tube charged, some dust. Okay, same problem. All right, it is not the tube and it's not the yoke. Same exact problem. Okay. We have now removed that variable. It's not the tube. I'm actually relieved too. All right, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna remove the chassis, and I think what we're gonna do first is I'm gonna replace some of the caps on the chassis around the vertical ICs. And there was a gentleman on YouTube that gave me a list of caps in that area that I should replace. I'd like to, before we completely give up on this chassis, I want to just try a few things, okay? And then if we get nowhere, I'm going to move on to Servo's chassis. And by the way, Servo, thanks for sending me that chassis, pal. So I'm going to move on to Servo's chassis if we don't seem to get anywhere, or at the very least, we can rebuild that other one that was dead in the shelf. So, all right, I'm going to remove the chassis, and we're going to set up here, and we're going to just replace some caps. And maybe that X501 IC. I haven't decided yet, but we can remove that from the junk chassis. So, all right, hang on. Let's get set up. All right, guys, we're all set up. Actually, I want to read something here on my Facebook page that Ash Evans posted. Now, I assume he knows what he's talking about. You know, I read all these comments, and I kind of average everything out, really. That's kind of what I do. But he says here, if I replace any of the caps mentioned around the vertical deflection IC, I can't find the post at the moment. By listed, most likely the caps will be causing an issue. The test pattern shows a fairly classic cap or diode problem. Okay, and I talked to Ian about this too, and he agreed. It looks like the vertical ramp isolator and the IC is randomly jumping around frequency, which is causing the lines to jump from their normal positions, then start drawing at the wrong point, which is why most of the lines are broken. He goes on to say, I don't think the vertical position jumper would affect it, as it looks like that normally floats when the jumper is removed anyway, and one of the jumper pins just grounds one point. It could be that the flyback or the supply from it is failing, but I think it's still an issue with the around the vertical IC. Okay, and he goes on to say, caps to look at around IC501 and the two big transistors, okay? And he lists 402, 503, 504, 506, 408, 411, 412, 523, 520, 521. C402 should be a tantalum, and that also is spec'd in the IC401 data sheet. Pin 6 of the IC501 is a supply pin. Blah, 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 going on. IC501 is just a dual oscillator, so it's the job of the other chunkier transistors to drive the horizontal deflection coils. The vertical coils are, of course, driven by a pair of transistors that I replaced, so they should be fine unless R420 or D401 are bad. Going on, the vertical ramp signal is still generated by IC501, though, so it's definite a suspect. So IC501 is underneath here. So anyway, I'm going to shotgun, I think, the caps in these areas, and I don't really in this whole area right here, right? Because the vertical ICs are right here, and then IC501 is underneath here. I'm like, what the heck's beeping? So let's start removing caps here. And we'll check them with our ESR meter as we go, just to see if we find something that's bad. And I'm actually going to use his list as a reference here. You know what? I might as well. So let's pull out. So this is the Ian Kellogg, just like standard cap kit. It only comes with the caps. So he's saying, look at 402, 503, 504, 506. So not all of these caps are in the kit here. So some of them are going to be the tantalum, these kind of like chiclet looking caps right here. So those will not be in any kits. So I think what we'll do is we'll replace the electrolytics that we can, and then we'll go back and look at those. So let me get a pen here, and I'm going to circle the ones he's listing that are in the kit. All right, so I just went through here, and I just circled all the ones he listed. Again, I don't know if he's right, but you know what? I'm going to at least start here, because, I mean, we're looking at the caps anyway. So let's see, and we're using our Hacko FR300 to desolder here, which makes our life much easier. So 411 is right here. Okay. So let's go ahead and remove that guy. It's a big one too. And I'm just kind of curious what kind of ESR reading we get. I actually forgot how to use this thing. All right, let's see. Let's see, positive. I used to have a list. So it says 82 microfarad. It's supposed to be 100. And then if we go here to ESR 0.5. Trying to remember, I used to have a chart that showed what was good ESR. So let's compare it to the new one. And these are Bob Roberts' old stock, right? So this is 411. So let's go ahead and .2. And it's coming in at 87, and the caps are what, plus or minus 20%. So this is supposed to be 100 microfarad. So the higher the ESR, the more resistance there is. So that's 0.2, and then this one was what again? .5, so we got a little more resistance. I should look up really quick what was bad ESR. Hang on a sec. All right, I found this little chart online here. And so 100 microfarad cap at 160 volts should be somewhere in the neighborhood of 0.3. Again, this is just like a ballpark thing. And by the way, ESR, I should just like read the definition because we've covered this before, but so this is just a little down and dirty definition here. So ESR is equivalent series resistance. The ESR rating of a capacitor is its rating of quality, okay? So the lower the value, the less resistance, right? A theoretically perfect capacitor would be lossless and have an ESR of 0. It would have no in-phase AC resistance. We live in the real world and all capacitors have some amount of ESR. So really, to test this properly, you'd have to have like the spec sheet for the cap. And each one's going to be different. So that other sheet we were using was just kind of a guide, a ballpark. So I think it's safe to assume if we were to read this and we were getting like 3 ohms and the new one's like 0.3, then we would know this thing is definitely bad. So I think what we're seeing here is that this cap is probably just fine. You can measure ESR with the analog meter called the capacitor wizard, blah, blah, blah. So I think we'll use this as just kind of a guide. I think the more we use this, the more we'll get comfortable with what is good and what is bad. But it appears that we're looking for something in the neighborhood of 0.5 ohms. So let's go ahead and replace this. But it seems to me that this cap is probably fine. Now, we're getting 80 microfarad. It's supposed to be 100, but it's probably plus or minus 20%. It doesn't say on Ian's cap what the tolerance is, but typically it's plus or minus 20% of the value. All right, let's throw this guy in here. And so on the G07, there's a little black circle here. That's where the negative band goes. I know we've covered this a gazillion times on the channel, but the longer leg on the cap is positive, and then the negative side has a stripe on it. So we're going to line up the stripe with the circle, just like so. And I'm using my Weller WTC PT, which I love. Never lets me down. Just make sure we're kind of flush here. All right, so that's that cap. All right, so what else? I'm not going to cut these off yet till we're done. That way I know that I did that one. So we're looking for 408, 412. So that was 411. So 412. And this is also a good chance for me to double check my work because I did reflow all the solder in here, which is when we could have screwed something up. Let's see. It's tough to find these when you're just looking for specific ones. 406. Do we need that one? No. So I'm looking at 408. So here's IC 501, by the way, right in here. Here's 401. We don't need that one. 404. 406. So 402 was one we were supposed to look at. There's 407. So our problem seems to be somewhere in this area with the 501 and the X401 and X402. Boy, these caps are not jumping out. Jeez. Here's 407. 412. Oh, this is fun. Here's 409 right here. It's not on our list. .410. Wow. I'm really not finding these caps. So are they underneath this heatsink? I probably should remove this. Let's go ahead and remove this. So there's this big honking heatsink on here, or actually it's more of a cover. So let me get my pliers and let's take this off. We might have to, if we decide to remove that 501 IC, we gotta pull it off anyway. All right, I'm gonna heat this up and just kind of pull it out. There's one. There's two, so that little cover's off now. Alright, so let's take a look in here. So that's 403. And what are these guys here? Oh, Ian includes a cap map. Alright, I'm going to go through here real quick and just mark off the ones we need to find. Alright, I have a little more guidance here. So, 511, 521 are over here. So let's just kind of line this up. So it's these two big ones right here. Here we go, 521 and 511. Let's just do one at a time here. All right, so that's 521. 2200 microfarad. Let's see what this thing's all about. It does say you're supposed to just charge these before you do this. So you could just short the two leads together. Negative and positive. So the ESR is at 0.1. And it's around 760 microfarad. And that's a 2225 volt. So here's Ian's cap. It's a 2235 volt. Is that 511? So where's that one we just pulled out? It's right here. It's 521. Just curious, compare new to old. So look at the ESR on that, 0.06. But it's 1.18 M farad. Megafarad? So it's probably like 11 85, and this is supposed to be 2200. I wonder how accurate this is. You know, I fully admit I don't use this thing a lot. I'm trying to get to understand it more. But the ESR is way lower, 0.06. Let's compare it again to this one. .10, 786. Well, this one is clearly out of whack compared to the one Ian sent me. Alright, so let's put this in. I mean, normally when you do a cap kit, you don't read every single cap as you remove them, but I'm really hoping to find something. Like that cap there had considerably lower microfarad value, and the ESR was higher, but I'm guessing that that ESR level was not super high. It's just a cheaper cap that maybe Bob Roberts was selling. Okay, so now let's grab 511, which is right here too. It's right there. So these are Ritchie brand caps. Let's see what we get. So ESR 1.3 ohms and 35 microfarad is supposed to be 47. That's really high. This might be a bad cap. Let's compare it to the new one. So that is 511. That's the highest ESR we've gotten yet. .47. So this one was it 1.5 ohms ESR? That's 0.4. So we're definitely putting in a better cap. Just putting my hand on the back of the board because I want the cap to be as flush as possible. Just kind of pushing on it into the board. Okay. Alright, I'm going to keep going here and replace all the caps that we identified, and if I see anything along the way, I'll come back. I'm actually kind of tempted to just do the whole cap kit. Should we? I kind of feel like I should anyway. Let's just replace all the caps. Because we're replacing a good majority of them anyway. Maybe I'll just do the whole cap kit. So, alright, I'm going to keep going, and if I see anything along the way, I'll let you guys know. Alright, I just want to share something real quick. So, I'm replacing this cap right here, which is C302 right here. And you can see there's a little black circle on this side, meaning that negative is on that side. But if you turn the board over, it's backwards. It says that positive should be over here. So the bottom is actually printed wrong. And I checked the other boards that I have, and sure enough, positive should be on this side, but if you turn it over, it's actually labeled, I'm sorry, negative is on this side, but if you turn the board over, that's actually labeled positive. So that marking is actually wrong on the bottom of the chassis. So just be really careful when you're doing this stuff. You know, take a photo before you do it, whatever you need to do to keep things straight. Luckily, I had another chassis to look at, but the screen printing on the bottom did not match what's on the top. And I don't remember that happening before, but I must have encountered that before. And I'm looking at all the G07 chassis I have over here, and none of them have, I mean, all of them have it with positive, I mean, negative on the left side here. So the marking on the top is correct, but the marking on the bottom of the board is not. So just pay attention. So anyway, I'm going through this. I'm going to replace all these caps. Might as well. I mean, I did this 3 years ago, and, you know, I think Bob was using some kind of surplus caps, so I think it's just a good idea. Let's just do all the caps right now, and then if we do fix it, we don't have to worry about this chassis, hopefully, for a long time. So, all right, I'm going to keep going. All right, so I want to just share here something with you regarding the ESR values. Like this cap I pulled out, which I think it was one of the ones that was on the list that we wanted to check. And the ESR reading to me seemed kind of high, and I don't think it is though. So if I go negative right here, so I'm getting an ESR of 2.4 ohms, but however, this cap is 3 microfarad, 160 volt, and on the EEV blog forum, some guys posted some charts so you can kind of just get an idea of where things should be. But a 3.3 microfarad cap that is 160 volts should be in the neighborhood of 3.1 ohms. So this is good here. And just looking through this whole chart here, like the highest ohm rating you should get for ESR is, well, actually a 4.7 microfarad cap, according to this, at 250 volts should be 13 ohms. And a 1 microfarad at 250 volts should be 20 ohms. So the readings aren't always going to be 0.5 and point whatever. 13 ohms is completely acceptable on some of these cap values according to these charts. But you kind of have to average it out though, because I think different manufacturers are going to have different ratings. So these charts you just kind of take with a grain of salt, kind of gets you in the ballpark. So anyway, I'm still going here. I'm just doing spot checks along the way. And haven't really found any smoking gun yet, I don't think, but let's keep going. All right, guys, we're done. I capped the entire thing. Now, I have not trimmed the leads yet, and I'm actually going to do that in a second here. I want to go through all the caps on the top and double check the polarity. I'm going to take a Sharpie and just put a little black dot on them as I go through it. And basically, I'm just making sure they're in correctly, inserted correctly, polarity-wise. So with the stripes here and the little circles here, so that one's good. This one has no polarity. And by the way, this one over here is actually part of a mod. And on the original boards, what you're going to find is a Mylar cap like this right here. Okay, and there's a well-documented like curl mod that replaces this cap with a cap, I believe, somewhere between 10 and 22 microfarads. Now, Ian's kit came with a 22 microfarad cap, I believe, and the one I removed out of here was actually a 10. And when you put the cap in, the negative is actually going to be on this side here. And the cap that was in here originally from the factory was one of these style caps here that had no polarity. But on this, you want the negative over here, and there's actually 3 holes, 1, 2, 3. And you're going to put the cap in basically the middle one and the far right one where that cap was. And that's normal. If you find a cap in here that is one of these, you're going to basically remove it and then replace it with electrolytic cap like that Ian included. If you Google that, you'll find that information like on Bob Roberts' site. Okay, so this one here doesn't have polarity. All right, so that one's good. This one's good. That one's good. So I'm basically just going through and I'm looking at the dot on the board and I'm making sure it lines up with the stripe on the cap. because that would be negative to negative. And then I also did replace the neck board cap, which is right here. This is good. This is good. We did not replace the filter cap. That should have come in Ian's deluxe kit. I'm not actually sure though. Typically these caps don't go bad, but they can, of course. That's good. Alright, so there's one down here. Okay, so it looks like all the caps are inserted correctly. We have the correct orientation. Here's one right here, I didn't check. You can see the dot. So I believe that's it. And then I'm going to leave the cover off. And there's some caps back here. There's a cover that goes over the X501 chip right here. I'm going to leave that cover off in case we need to come back in here, because there's still a couple things we should be checking. If we still have the issue, I'm probably going to replace this chip and then a couple of these Mylar caps that the viewer messaged me about on Facebook, assuming he's correct. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put everything back together. Actually, I want to clip the leads now. So I'm going to carefully just go in the back here and trim all the leads off. Just using my cutters here, and just want to cut above the solder. And just kind of be aware where they go. That looks a little suspect right there. Don't like how that one looks. Where is it? Right here. Turn my soldering iron back on. We'll come to that. This is also a good time to just kind of look at stuff. And as you're clipping these, you know, again, make sure they're falling off the board and really give the board a good, like, see this one right here? Really make sure that they're not staying on the board and causing a short. They're flying across the garage right now. Okay, I trimmed them all, and I'm just kind of so that vertical linearity pot, we replaced that, didn't we? There's a couple legs right here. Okay, everything looks good here. Just double checking my work. I didn't like this one right here. Where did that go? Right there. I'm just going to be full of that. I don't like how that looks at all. So I'm just going to reflow the solder on this one here. Okay, so we're ready to try this out here. And I'm just kind of double checking my work. Just seeing if anything's jumping out at me. Okay, I'm going to put this back together, and I'll spare you guys from that because we've done it a million times. And then we'll come back and we'll power it on together and try it out. Alright, we're all hooked up here. I'm going to just kind of double check my work. I've got the TPG hooked up right here. Okay. Degauss coil, the ground for the neck board. The yoke is plugged in. The flyback is plugged in. So everything looks good here. All right, we're ready to give this a shot. Excuse me. All right, guys. Cross your fingers. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's hook up the power. All right, here we go. Ready? We've got HV. All right. Oh my God. Are you ready? Definitely have HV. Here we go. Picture's scrambled. It doesn't look like we fixed it, does it? Son of a gun. The sync is off here. There we go. Well, we have the same problem here. All right, well, we can now rule out the caps. Son of a gun. All right, I'm going to remove the chassis. We're going to replace that XM501, the X501 IC. It's IC501. I have to try this. It's one of the most, of all the comments that I got, it was one of the most consistent ones saying to look at that IC501. So let's at least swap that out because I can. I have a junk chassis. And if this doesn't fix it, I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to probably move on to one of the other chassis. Yeah. All right, I'm going to discharge this, remove the chassis, and then we'll go back to the workbench. Ugh. All right, I was looking at the G07 flow chart that Randy Fromm wrote, and this is from some technical tip bulletin from back in the 80s. But it kind of goes through everything here. You know, is blank screen? No. Is picture too small? No. Is the picture perfectly stable? I'd say no. Is it doing a hula dance? No, it's not. Is the picture rolling from top to bottom? It kind of is, maybe. We can maybe say yes, and it says you have a vertical sync problem. Test the transistors X302 and 306. And then it says to also substitute IC501, which is what we're about to do here. We never looked at 302 and 306, and I'd be curious to know, because those are part of that vertical circuit. So I'm not even sure where those are. 303, 304, 102, 104, X902. So we replaced 401 and 402, which it does mention in the beginning of that little flow chart as being potential problems. I'm just sort of looking over here. So that all looks good, this solder. This is the vertical linearity. And here's C406. So that's a Mylar cap. And actually, I think... So 402 and 503 is the caps that that gentleman said. So like vertical linear is right here. I'm just looking at the parts that are around it. So 406, 405, 403. So where are those other two transistors it's talking about? I don't know. All right, why don't we just get to work on this? Let's do this first and see what happens. But even the Randy from Flowchart ends at the 501 transistor for vertical problems. So, all right, so for this transistor here, I'm gonna just reflow all the pins, and then we're gonna take our solder sucker and just remove them all. But I think it's gonna help our cause here if we add some new solder to all of these. And I'm doing this kind of sloppily here. And we gotta make sure when we put the new part in that we get the polarity right on this IC. Alright, so I just threw a whole bunch of new solder on there. Where's my flux pen? So we want to really make sure we get this thing out in one swoop. So I'm kind of going a little overboard here. Alright. Here we go. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let's see if it comes out. Another way to do this is to cut all the legs off. But, look at that. That desoldering tool rules. Alright, let me see if I have a socket. Maybe we could just socket that thing. I think I do. Might be in the basement. Here we go. Let's see what we got here. No, that's too big. Alright, let me see if I can find a socket for that. Hang on. Alright, I went through my bags of sockets here. I bought these all on eBay one time, and I just kind of keep them in my drawer here. So we need a 16-pin socket. So let's go ahead and put this on. Now the polarity of this thing, let's look at the other... Well, I could tell, so the notch is going to be on the top, and it's also on the drawing there. So our socket does have a notch on it, so we're going to make sure that we put it in the same way. This kind of doesn't want to go in there. Boy, kind of butchering this here. Come on, get in there. I get it. Just make sure they're all out. It looks like they are. Yeah. Just really making sure these are out. It's hard to tell, they're really small. Yeah, they are. Alright, so let's kind of just see if we can tack this in without it falling out. There's not a lot of meat on this. Very small pad here. Okay, looks good. Let's make sure we're all the way in here. Ouch, hot. Okay. Alright, let me double check my work, make sure we didn't bridge anything. So I'm just going to put my meter on continuity and just touch the adjacent points. Make sure nothing's bridged. Did I miss one? God. I really don't want to admit that I need glasses. All right, I think we're in. All right, so now we need to get a donor chip. Let's put that one to the side. So where's our junk board with the cracked neck on it? Where did that go? Oh, here it is. All right, so we're gonna have to remove the cover from the donor board. Because the IC is behind this. So we're gonna need to remove this right here. There's 1 and 2, okay. Covers off. So let's just look at the polarity of this really quick. So the notch is towards the heat sinks away from the edge of the board. So just let's keep that in mind. And then on the new one, I did put the socket in that way. So the notch is heading towards the heat sinks. All right, so let's remove this just like we did the other one, which went really smooth. So I'm just gonna throw some fresh solder on here. And hopefully we really desolder these legs and it just pops in that socket real nice. I'm just kind of going crazy here with this, I don't care. All right. Let's take our flux pen. Doesn't look like it's getting clean. I wonder if I need to just clean the tip of this real quick. Okay. Looks like it's doing a better job now. Yeah, this side's way better. Alright. There we go. Alright, the chip's out. Looks fairly clean. Okay, so let's put our donor board over here. And this is not the right board. This is the right board. Okay, we're in. Alright guys, we're ready to try this out. That's all we can do. Alright, I'm going to quickly hook it back up again, and then we'll power it on together. Alright guys, we're all hooked up again. Double check our work. Degauss coil, video in sync, ground on the neck board, yoke wires, fly back, and then we're going to hook up the power to the cloak and dagger, and we're ready to try this out again. At this point, I'm almost accepting the fact that I'm never going to fix this. I just don't know. Like, I just don't expect it to be fixed. I just, in my mind, it doesn't seem possible at this point. All right, let's plug it in. You ready? Here we go. Got HV. Please, 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 please. All right, you ready? Here we go. Nope. Does it look different? Just curious here. Just taking my TV adjustment tool and seeing if I can make it look different. Nah, it's the same exact problem. Wiggling the neck board carefully, and the yoke wires. I mean, we know it's not the tube, right? Because we got the same exact result. So it's not that yoke connector. It can't be, because we used another yoke connector with another tube. So we ruled out the yoke connector. We're always getting this. We've replaced the caps. We replaced the vertical ICs. We did not look at those other 2 transistors it was talking about in the FAQ. I just don't want to give up on this. So transistors X302 and 306, X401, 402, we replaced those. FR401, which is a fusible resistor. IC501, check all the 400s. Before we totally give up on this, I want to sit down with my soldering iron and reflow my reflow work. And it's going to force me to look at every trace because I could have bridged something. It still could be what this is. And we'll look at some of those parts that are listed in the FAQ, but I'm going to go through this with a fine-tooth comb real quick, and then maybe we'll swap out the flyback on the servo chassis and see what happens. But I just don't want to give up on this. I feel like if I keep poking around in all the right areas everyone says to poke around in, including Randy Fromm and you guys too, eventually we're going to find it. We're going to find that magical part that's taking down this whole monitor. It's just so weird. All right, I'm going to disconnect everything and we'll come back. All right, guys, so I'm going to sit down here with this and just go through it carefully with my multimeter, double check, make sure I didn't bridge any solder joints. Also, I'm going to start testing some components along the way. These ones I wrote down right here are actually from the flow chart, and the Randy Fromm flow chart that talks about all the vertical things. If the monitor's having vertical problems, it says to look at all these. Like, for instance, this right here, FR401, which is a fused resistor, should be at 68 ohms, and I actually just tested that, but it's this guy right here. This ceramic resistor is FR401, and if I were to measure it, it's supposed to be at 68 ohms, and I actually just tested it, and it is exactly at 68 ohms, so it's fine. It's got like these little plastic things on the legs, so it's at 68.7 ohms. But I'm going to basically just start going through here and looking at all the parts in this section here and testing them along the way, including some of the caps that I did not replace. And then also I did look at the schematic, and I just kind of copied this section. This is everything around IC501, and you could see the vertical amp and vertical oscillator. They come out of this side here and they go to C401, resistor 404, C402, and I'm looking at my list here, and C402 is on that list of caps that that viewer told me on Facebook to look at. So I'm going to look at that one too. C402 is right here. There's a diode 402. So a lot of these parts in the 400 section I just want to check out, and they're all basically right around here. So where's C402? There's D402 right there. That guy. Let's just kind of test that in circuit. So we get 0.3 in that direction on that. I am testing it in circuit. You can kind of... Oh, I'm getting readings in both directions. Did I just find something right here? So D402, you get a reading in that direction. No, I'm not. Oh, yeah. I'm getting a reading in both directions on that one. That's D402. Let me look at the schematic again. Yeah, that's right in the middle of all the vertical stuff. Let's compare that to another chassis, D402. That's right there. I need the junk chassis. I mean, what are the odds of me getting lucky? And that's like the part that's causing all this. I get a reading in that direction. Yeah, I'm getting a reading in both directions. Alright. That thing's probably good. I'd have to remove it from the circuit to really test it. Alright, I'm going to keep poking around here. And I'm just going to take my multimeter and read stuff and maybe compare it to one of the junk boards. And just see if anything jumps out in that section. Now, D402, I don't know. We'll have to just put that on the list of things to look at later. Might have to remove one of the legs to really test it. So anyway, I'm going to keep going here, just poke around. I'm probably going to spend a good half hour at least just kind of going through everything. And really double checking my work when we reflowed that solder. I'm just a little worried that there's something there somewhere that I'm just overlooking. So, all right, I'll be back. All right, guys, I just want to show you something. So, this C402, cap C402, and when we looked at the schematic, this tantalum cap right here, C402, is right in the middle of all the vertical action here. And I just read on line 2 an old cloth thread saying that that cap, if that thing's shorted, it can cause all kinds of weird issues with the vertical section. So I'm going to swap it just for the heck of it. And by the way, it's impossible to find it, and it's not even labeled on the board. But it's this blue one right here. See this little guy? And it's not labeled anywhere. And I did remove the diode here, D402, I think it was. And that thing was fine out of circuit. So I'm going to swap out this little blue cap here. I'm going to actually remove it and then test it. If I find anything, I'll let you guys know. But I'm going to swap it out, and then we're going to try the monitor real quick. I kind of decided that if I swap out a part, I'm going to test in between. I don't want to just start changing stuff wholesale and then testing, because it's harder for me to backtrack what I did. So I'm just going to replace this, and then we're going to test it. So I'm going to do this real quick. All right, so I'm done here. I replaced C402. I also did C503, which, by the way, is not, I don't see it in here on the schematic, but it was one that was recommended to me to change, so I swapped it out anyway. So we have a new 402, a new 503. However, I'm going to tell you, I tested the caps as I took them out with my ESR meter, and they looked normal to me. I'm guessing that what I just did nothing. I also checked like diode 402, resistor 402, and 403, and 404. These are all on the flow chart here, the schematic. 404 said it's supposed to be an 8.2K, and I was getting like 4K ohms, but I also checked 2 other chassis and got the same exact thing. So I don't know if maybe because it's in circuit, it's reading that way. For now, I'm going to just assume they're okay. But, you know, just for the heck of it, I'm going to hook this up to the tube and turn it on and see what happens. I'll come right back and we'll see what it's doing. And it's the same. Okay, so I'm going to keep poking around, okay? And I'll change a few more parts that are in this area. I'll test them. I'm going to look at the schematic a little closer, but if I don't get it in the next 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to move on to another chassis, because I'm just beating my head against a wall here, and I'm a little sick of it. So, all right, I'm going to disconnect everything again. All right, I pulled the chassis, and actually, an entire week has passed since that last clip. But we have the chassis over here, and I've been thinking about this, and you know what? I'm just going to do one more thing, and that's it. I'm going to go through the back here with my multimeter, and I'm going to test the continuity for everything that I reflowed, okay, and everything that I've replaced. And basically, I'm going to take my meter, put it on continuity, and I'm going to test from point A to point B on everything that I reflowed. You know, like right here, we replace this capacitor. I'm going to put my meter here, and I'm going to see where the trace goes and put it where it goes, and if I hear a beep, I know that that's good. If I don't get a beep, then maybe there's something lifted or broken or cracked, because I'm really starting to think that this all started when I reflowed the solder. You know, did I overheat something? I don't know. But I'm going to go through this really quick, one by one, trace by trace, and see if I can find something that doesn't look right. And if I do, great. If I don't, we are moving on. That's it. We spent too much time on this. And we've got other chassis. You know, Servo, thank you, sent us one. I got to move on. So, oh, by the way, too, check this out. So since the last clip here, I picked up this. So I've been wanting to get a computer for the garage, and actually I needed a new ROM burning computer, because my Athlon 800 downstairs, that's my old PC that I use for burning ROMs, because I have a Needham's EMP10 that requires basically DOS and a parallel port, right? So my Athlon downstairs, it blew up. Like, I turned it on one day and the power supply blew up. So I was going to buy a new power supply for it. I'm like, I don't know. I really don't like having 3 computers over there. It's just a big mess. I'd like to be able to do it in the garage too. So I started looking for a cheap laptop that had basically a parallel port, okay? And I started homing in on these Toughbooks. Have you guys ever seen these before? This thing is amazing. This is like the coolest computer ever. Guys, it is so heavy, it is so solid. It's like a freaking tank. Like, this is the thing that you see inside cop cars or on construction sites. But what's great about it, though, is that it has a parallel port back here. And everything is like behind doors and all protected. So we got a parallel port right here. And I've already tested it. It works great with my EMP10. It's got USB right here. This is like VGA. I'm not sure what that port is right there. This thing actually, I guess, was used by SBC. It's got an edge card in it. Like, if you open this door right here. So it has a wireless edge card. And if I had a SIM card... Why is that not closed? Did I not put that on? Oh, I actually took this off to see what was going on. And there's this little metal cover here. I don't know if that's interfering or what. Anyway, it has an antenna on it, so like, and this thing is just cool as all heck. And it looks like something that like Jack Bauer would be using in 24. But it's got a little antenna right here. So like, if I got like a little edge card, I could have wireless internet on this thing. I did order a little USB Wi-Fi dongle thing that should be able to, that'll let us use this in the garage to like look up manuals and schematics and stuff. And then on here, I put a bootable version of DOS, so I can boot into DOS. I'll show you guys via this USB, because it has Windows XP installed on it right now. I don't know, I just thought I'd show you guys this thing really quick. I just think it's like really, really cool and badass. It's the perfect computer for out here. So right now it's booting into DOS, and then I can go to EMP10. I already have the software installed on the USB key, and I could do demo mode. But so there's the software right there. So if I had my burner out here, we could plug it in and screw around with it. But so this is gonna be great for the garage. So just wanted to show you guys that. And we'll probably do a video about it, because I've been fooling around with ROM Ident, and I want to really like get better at being able to use that, because and the idea with ROM Ident is that we could say we have a PCB, like, okay, like this one right here, right? Well, what is this, right? And so we could take one of the ROMs off, dump it onto this computer with my burner, and then we could use ROM Ident to identify what the ROM is, and it will come up and say, oh, that board is this. So it's kind of a fun way, or not a fun way, but just a more technical way for identifying a board, rather than just looking at it and guessing. Because really, what is this board? It says Gun Dealer right here. Someone sent me this board. We should try this one day. I think it's JAMA. So, all right, let's move on. So I'm just gonna start going through that other board, my original Journey board, and let me get my meter, and I'll just do a couple of these with you guys. I'll show you what I'm going to do. But I'm basically going to just do this on every single capacitor and everything that I installed and reflowed and all that. gonna see if something is busted or cracked or burnt or who knows what. You know, so like, so if we were to come in here and get in here, you know, like, let's see. So like I reflowed this right here. It's good. I reflowed this. And this goes over. Let's see, this goes just following. So I'm just gonna just do that for everything. Just go point A to point B. So it's probably gonna take me a half hour to do this. So I'm gonna go ahead and do it. If I find something, I'll show you guys. If not, we're moving on. All right, I'm back. So I didn't find anything. So this is the part in the video where we move on, okay? Now I thought about having fun with this moment. I thought about putting gasoline on this and lighting it on fire. I thought about taking a hammer to this thing. I thought about driving my car over this chassis or my lawnmower. I'm not gonna do it, okay? We're gonna put this on the shelf. There's a lot of good parts on here. There's a good flyback. So we're not gonna destroy this chassis. You know, listen, for comedy's sake, I would have done it. And I was this close to doing it, but I'm not doing it. We're not going to destroy it. So, all right, we are definitely going to move on from this chassis, though. So why don't we take a look at the chassis that Servo sent me, and he says it was working. It just needs a new flyback. So let's go ahead and swap out the flyback. He did send me one. Where is it? And then I also have one, this right here. Is this it? Yeah. Yeah, right here. So here's the new flyback. And this thing screws to the side over there. So I think this is from Bob Roberts. Okay, so let's just get to work here. Let's take our desoldering iron and, you know, I guess I should have pivoted, you know, a week ago, maybe even 2 weeks ago, but I just didn't want to give up. So let's unscrew this right here. So when you're swapping out the flyback, you gotta remove these two screws in the G07. Because the flyback is screwed to the side for support. And then let's take our... So we basically have to desolder all of this right here. And I think I'm going to add some new solder to this. Let's see if we can get this in one swoop. You know, I would have loved to have found that problem. I mean, we replaced like everything. Okay, so let's go ahead and desolder this. It's not sucking. Yeah, we're plugged up here. By the way, after you do that with that little tool, do not touch that thing. It is so hot. All right, let's try it now. There we go. This thing is awesome. Okay. Just go back over them real quick. Alright, let's see if it comes out. So we might have to heat up. Make sure I got all of them. So let me take my soldering iron here and let's just see if we can pop them out one by one. There we go. These are free. There we go. Okay, so some of the wires here though are still attached. It's funny, this looks like a new flyback. I don't know what happened. It's like someone ripped it out of the neck or something. Alright. So we have to desolder these. And I want to keep them straight. So the bottom one goes to the right. Let's look at our new one. Oh, it's just one wire. The other wire is focused and it goes to the neck board, I see. So we just have this one single wire right here that we have to desolder. Let's see if we can get that off. Just like so. Alright, so the old flyback's off. I'd love to know what happened here. And let's take a look at this. There's a little loop on it. There we go. So we can solder the wire then on that little loop. Okay, so here's our new one. And so all we need to do is solder the pins in and this wire, and that's it. So this is pretty darn simple. And I'm just looking at the pins here, making sure they're all relatively straight. Alright, so let's see if we can line this up. This is the hardest part, is getting all this stuff to line up. I hate this. Are we in? We are on this side. Boy, there's a massive gap. Like, it wants me to screw it in right here, but if I do that, none of the pins line up. All right, those pins are in there on that side. Get all of these in. So there's a couple over here that need to be bent. Let's try again. It's in. 2, 3, 4. She's in. There we go. Now we're really in. Okay, so let me, I guess I'll screw it in real quick. Okay, let's solder. So it does look like one of these pads, it's not too bad. We'll do a continuity test. I remember how scary it was changing my first flyback. You know, not having the right tools too, like, you know, back then I used a solder pullet. I think I had even like a cheap off-brand one, and it just made desoldering not fun. Alright, so this is the last one and we're done. So I'm just going to take my multimeter really quick and we'll just do some continuity tests. Double check our work here. So this goes over here. This goes here. And this one goes there. Alright, I think our work is good. Alright guys, we're ready to try this out. Actually, no, we're not. We gotta solder the other wire. So let's get... From the old flyback, I'm going to take off this little sleeve and we'll slide this down the wire. You can see on this side over here. So let's go ahead and just kind of fold this over. Like so. And then let's solder that on there. Looks good. And we'll just slide this on there. Okay. Now the one thing that I do kind of want to undo is this little fuse that's on the side here. But we're going to not do that right now. So they relocated the fuse. I guess we could do that real quick. see. So let's pop that fuse up. Ah! So let's pop this fuse off of here. Then we're going to have to unscrew that. Yeah, maybe we should, I was going to say, maybe leave this in, and if it doesn't blow the fuse, then we replace it. That actually kind of makes sense. Let me see if that fuse is even good. Fuse is good. All right, I'm gonna leave that fuse there. And if it doesn't blow that, because I would hate to replace this fuse and then it blows the fuse. So let's just leave the remote mounted fuse on there for now. And then if it doesn't blow it, then we can replace it. Okay, and it does look like this was capped by Servo, July of 2014. Wow, when did I cap the Journey? On May of 2014. Crazy. Okay, so I'm gonna come over here. I'm gonna put this in the monitor. I'm gonna spare you guys that, and then I will turn it on with you guys together. But let's get it hooked up and see what happens. All right, it's in. Let's double check our work here. Degauss coil, ground wire on the neck board, the yoke connector. This one pin though, I don't think it's in all the way. We'll find out in a second. And that's it. Just make sure this isn't touching anything. It's somewhat safe. All right, guys, this is it. You hook up the video, and then we'll give it a shot here. So I guess if this works, the way to fix a G07 is to get another chassis and replace the flyback on it. Man, listen, I tried every freaking option, okay? I didn't just give up. At some point, though, it's like, is this worth it? What is your time worth? Okay, here we go. The thing is, like, I was even looking on eBay, like, just get another chassis. All right, guys, cross your fingers that this is it and that we're done with this stupid video series. And I can move on with, like, Mortal Kombat and Cloak and Dagger. Here we go. We have HV. Oh, my God. All right. Are you guys ready for this? It's rolling. That's it. Hang on. Just adjusting the pots back here. This pot. Can't get the hold to lock. This one's vertical linearity. It could be the TPG though. Oh, come on, sync. I'm tempted to try the cloak and dagger. All right, well, I think we got it here. I just got to play with the adjustments, and it could be the TPG just not syncing. Or maybe this vertical hold pot's a little flaky. We had it in the... It's just really touchy. There. Servo, thank you very much. I can move on with my life now. I've been working on this stupid thing for like a month. We'll never know what was wrong with it. So we're gonna have to bring this in the basement. I'm gonna change that fuse too. I don't like that remote fuse. So why don't we do that real quick? Well, it wasn't the tube, it wasn't the yoke, it's something on that chassis. All right, let me discharge this, remove it, and then we'll swap out that fuse and then bring it to the basement. All right, I'm just gonna very quickly desolder the fuse and remove this remote fuse holder. I'm just gonna cut this off. You know what I'm thinking about? the Polo monitor, because that's the next thing we got to deal with. I'm almost feeling like, I feel like I don't want to work on it. Like I just want to go right, let's just do some of the, let's not work on the monitor right away. Instead, where is this? FR? Fuse 901. Where's this thing go? So it's gonna be like the first one right here. I think it's this right here. Maybe this and this. All right, I'm gonna add some solder here. And it should be right here. And then right here. Okay, let's see if it comes out. There we go. Okay. All right, it's out. Okay, so let's talk about this. So this is the original one, and it had these little legs on the actually, what's the value of this? This was 901. So 901, 1.25 amp. Now the one Ian sent did not have the little legs on it, but he included fuse holders, okay? And I'm looking at the board, and there's actually a spot for these, which I've never noticed before. And if you look at the board right here, there's a spot for fuse holders. So, all right, so basically the battery died on my microphone and I didn't realize it. So what happens here is that I install the fuse. And Ian Kellogg's deluxe repair kit for the G07 came with fuse holders, which I've never done before on a G07, because like Bob Roberts, when he was selling those kits, he was selling the fuses with the pigtails, which is what they did in the factory, but Ian's solution with the fuse holders is way better. So ultimately, at the end of the day here, I install the fuse holders. They come in Ian Kellogg's G07 deluxe kit. I solder it, and that's it. And then we go to test the monitor. So we're going to come back here after I install the fuse holder, and then we're going to test the monitor. Okay. Okay, it's all back together, and yeah, I checked that fuse. It was the right value. So I should probably dial this in a little bit here on the while we're outside here. It looks like the red is too. The red drive is too much. So let's kind of play with this screen right here. Okay, definitely not that. All right. Let's see. That's vertical size. Yeah, you know, I really feel like maybe we just got to do this with the actual game board. Turn the fly back down just a little bit. The red seems like it's cranked. Let's go back. Just kind of centering the pots. So that's red, that's green, that's blue. I guess that should be white. Doesn't look okay. I mean, it looks okay. It doesn't look great. Let's see. That's green drive, and that's red drive. So I think that's about as good as we're going to get it here. And then we'll just play with the focus. So those centering pots, like right now, it's too far to the left picture. So let me take a look at those centering pots. And let's see. So let me show you guys what I'm talking about. So on the G07, they have these centering pins. I call them pots, they're pins. And the rate oh, actually one of them is out. Oh shit, that's the ground for the neck board. Hang on a second. Let me hook that back up. So that ground for the neck board fell out. Okay. Anyway, what I was saying there was there's these little, let me go back on the cross patch. Okay, so we got to move the picture this way. And then back here, there's pins. Horizontal center is this set right here, and then vertical center is this set right here. If you guys can see that. And right now, horizontal center is in the center jumper. So we're going to try to move it left or right. Now, I don't think there's any reason why you need to turn the monitor off to do it, but I'm going to just to be safe. But let's see if anything changes here. So I'm going to turn the monitor off, and I'm going to move the pin into the far left one. And it has been my experience that the changes are minuscule with those jumpers. It actually did move it. So right now, the edge of that's almost in there. If we were to take some TV adjustment tools, though, we could probably make the picture a little smaller with the horizontal size pot. But I'd have to find my TV adjustment tools to do that. Hang on a sec. Okay, I found my TV adjustment tools set. This is Radio Shack 3-piece anti-static TV alignment tools. I bought those a long time ago. They're great. I'm going to turn the monitor off, and I'm just going to show you guys where this tool goes. And if you're going to adjust this with the monitor on, take off jewelry and stuff because it's a little hairy. But basically, the pot is right here, and we're basically using a plastic Allen wrench in a way. Okay. So right there. So I'm going to take my ring off for this one because I just don't like putting my hand in there. It's in a weird spot. So I'm going to take my ring and my bracelet off. And I know that you guys yell at me all the time about that. But the monitor's on right now and I'm sticking my hand in there, so I'm going to be careful. All right, so let's let it warm up. And I'm just going to go ahead and move that little Allen wrench that's in that pot. And we're basically just trying to make the picture a little bit smaller. I can't really see it though. So I'm trying to see more of the left side there, because right now it's getting cut off. Let's see. I can't really see what it's doing. All right. So we're just getting micro gains from this. It's not really doing much. Ah! All right, I think that's about as good as it's gonna get. Let's just bring it downstairs and see how it actually looks with the game board, because it could look totally different. All right, I'm gonna bring this down to the basement, guys. Let's go down there and conclude this mess. We're done. Woot! Alright guys, I put the monitor in real quick. I haven't screwed it down yet. So I'm gonna go ahead and just put these screws in really fast. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 4 on the top and 2 on the bottom. Oh my God, I'm so glad I I hope the picture on this thing's okay. It didn't really look that great in the garage. So whatever. Let's come in here and just start screwing this thing down. Okay. Let's see here. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and put the other three in. I'll be right back. All right, it's all screwed down. I'm gonna just kind of Windex this really quick. And I guess we can just, why don't I plug the video on? Yeah, let's turn it on really quick and see what happens. So I'm gonna go in the back here and just connect everything. And it's just the power and the video signal, that's it. Let me get a light. Because I'm sure I'm gonna have to really adjust the monitor. I'm not looking forward to it, to be honest. All right, it's all plugged in. Just turned it on. Looks like I gotta plug the cable, the power cable. Cable got stressed. All right, is it on? It's not. There we go. I guess I turned the power switch off. All right, so let's see what happens here. I really hope the picture's not too out of whack. You control the actions of a daring adventurer finding his way through the All right, here it comes. Come on. Why is it missing green? Is it me or is it missing? Oh no, there's green, okay. All right, let me turn up the screen. That's too bright. Actually looks pretty good. Just adjusting the screen on the flyback. Let's see. I think it needs to come up just a hair. That's right. So this screen here, it is supposed to look like this. It's like this dark gray color. And then when you're on the map select screen, it's a true black in the background. All right, let's see. Go back. Yeah, that looks not that bad. We got a little bit of a curl here. You know what though? It's like I can't worry about it right now. I just can't. let's see if we can adjust the width. The width is, it could be a little bit wider. I can't read this stuff here. Frequency, here, vertical height. Let me get something I can look at. Alright, I'm just going to use this Quake CD here as a mirror. And let's just see if we can adjust the width. That's going the wrong way. Let's see how that looks. That's too wide. Let me come back in. That's about right. Can go maybe just a little bit wider, or should we just let it go? Look at how these are deformed here. You know, I remember messing around with all of this on the last monitor. It's a real balancing act. You gotta, let's see. Push the picture down. That's too far up. That's not bad. What do you guys think? So this screen here is black. Now these things are all stretched, right? So that's like, I think we're gonna let it go. I think the picture looks pretty good. All right, I'm gonna button the game up. Listen, I can't think about this anymore. I have like thousands of hours of my life in this game. So we're a little bit too wide, I think. I'm gonna crank down the width just a little bit. Let's see, how's that? Oh, that's too much. Let's see. It's not. It's okay. So that garbage on the side, that's normal. Like all the MCR games do that. I usually try to adjust it so that garbage is just on the edge like that. Yeah, this side over here. All right, hang on. Guys, I'm gonna just play at the dials. I'll be right back. This is boring. Okay, I just played the vertical linearity and now everything's even. Before, this side was more stretched than the other side, so let me just die real quick. You can see what I'm talking about. Come on. Die. Alright. So now... Ah, shit. Okay, so when it goes back to the stage select screen, all these circles are now like even. Whereas before, these ones were all like fat and these ones were skinny. I do want to adjust the vertical position. So I have to move these jumpers. Let me turn the game off. So I'm gonna just move the vertical position and let's see if that looks better. I just moved the little jumper. Yeah, I think it does. It's more centered now. Yeah. So I guess vertical size can come up just a smidge. When I do that, it starts stretching out those things, the balls. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Let's see. That's not bad. I think I'm gonna stop right here. Let's leave it. The balls are all pretty uniform. They're a little stretched. I could come in just a hair with the vertical size. Yeah, see, as soon as I do that though, you get the garbage. Let's just get rid of that. Right there. I don't mind a little bit peeking out right there. Alright guys, we're done. We are done. So here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna button the game up. I'm gonna just finish putting the rest of the stuff on. I mean, do you guys wanna do this with me? It's kind of boring, right? We just gotta put this on. And then the plexi. So let me do that really quick. I'm gonna put the bezel back on. I'm gonna put the game back in its hole. Let's put the basement back together. Let's do some viewer mail. Actually, we'll play some Journey too. So let me button this up. I'll come right back. All right, guys. My basement is back to normal almost. We still have iRobot down and Firefox. The iRobot though, I got to pull the PCB out. I'm going to send it to Andy Wellburn. He's going to fix it for me, and then eventually we're going to look at what's up with the Firefox. I'm not there yet. All right. You know what? We gotta play Journey, right? Let me check my levels here. I'm not sure if the tape player is cranked or not. All right, let's play us some Journey. I think we earned it. All right, I always go to the drums first. As Steve's. Something's wrong here. I can tell. I can't move. Oh no, I am. I thought maybe the joystick wasn't moving up. It is. I was worried that when I moved the control panel, I might have. Yeah, joystick's fine. Alright, so we have to get the guitar and get out of here. We are playing as Neil Schon. Okay, I'm just kind of blasting through this. Ross Valerie. Okay. Oh, I made it. Alright, so let's... Last one, Jonathan Kane. Oh, shoot. So my high score is 91,125. By the way, I noticed they lost my high scores. I don't know what to make of that. I have a new switching power supply adapter in there, too. So we'll have to pay attention. So now's when the tape player comes in. I'm not sure if the levels are right. I had to turn it down. There. So yeah, that's the game. Alright guys, I guess we'll finish it. Game gets really hard. So it's like the same thing now, except everything's just a little harder. I think the monitor looks pretty good actually. It's got some geometry issues, very mild though. My old one did too though. Ah, shoot. Alright, let's stop. Let's go do some viewer mail. I'm gonna just kill myself. I want to put my score in and see if it stays. It's 10 o'clock right now. Jesus. I have no idea how long this video is. Alright, let's hang out, let's do some viewer mail. The journey is over, officially now. Let's put our initials in, J-O. Alright. Alright guys, let's hang out and do some viewer mail. Let me clean up a little bit here first. Alright, all is right with the world. Journey is behind me and working again. Alright, let's do some viewer mail. If you guys want to participate in the viewer mail, you got to email them to me at john@johnsarcade.com. Email them to me, john@johnsarcade.com. Could be a question, could be a comment, can be whatever. john@johnsarcade.com. This one's from Lou. Hi John, is there a way I can change my track and field from track balls to buttons? Are you going to Pintastic next week? This is from Lou. So, well, the second part, Pintastic, I did go. Jay and I went on Friday. I actually posted a quick little Star Wars pinball video I did with my phone. I didn't go there to make videos. Actually, I had very limited time. I had to get back. So I was there kind of on a mission to maybe buy a pinball with Jay that we could put in the hangar, but we didn't find any deals. Actually, there were deals though, just not the exact deal we were looking for the kind of game we wanted to put in the hangar. We almost bought a Fishtails, but there was like a $3,700 Shadow that I thought was a really good deal. I've always wanted a Shadow. And it was in amazing restored condition, like the guy powder coated everything. It just looked really good for the money. It had an alt back glass, which I didn't like. I would probably put the original back on. A lot of people don't like the Shadow back glass. I don't really know why, but anyway. So anyway, Lou's asking if he can change his track and field from trackball to buttons. So if you guys are not aware, there was two versions of track and field. One used the buttons that we all know, and the other was a trackball that you spun like that. And I did a little bit of research for you, and apparently it's the exact same everything. The harness is the same, the board's the same, you just gotta swap it out. I guess there's a little encoder on the track balls that translates the ball movements to button presses. So if you were to find yourself an original track and field control panel and control panel harness, you could unplug your trackball one and plug it right in. You might be able to make the harness yourself if you can look at the manual. Maybe there's a wiring diagram or something. Like mine is jammed, so I couldn't really help you because mine's not original at all. That cabinet, my track and field, when I got it, it was like converted to clacks or something, and so actually, a friend of mine started it, but I finished it, and basically we put a JAMA harness in there with a JAMA adapter. So yes, if you could find the original control panel and control panel harness, you could just swap that and fix that. Rich Merrick says, hey man, I got a Tron recently. There's no light for the scenery in the background. Having difficulty finding information about that specific area of the cabinet. How is your scenery light mount on your Tron cab? Even just one picture could help me out. Also, is it just a fluorescent or is it black light? I do have 120 volts coming off on a connector, so I'm good to go as far as power, but not sure exactly where to mount the light. Any tips to get this as original as possible would be appreciated. Thanks, John. This is from Rich. So what Rich is talking about, and we'll go over to my Tron. And by the way, we got to fix my Tron because my bottom fixture's toast, and we got to fix that because I'm missing one of the lights. So Tron has actually four lights, right? There's a lower one that's right here, and actually, if you look at my two tires, you can see how that's supposed to look. So this two tires used to be a Tron. This was a conversion kit. So the lower one's like that, and that should be a white black light, I think. And then this is a black light, a blue black light, and then this is a fluorescent light, and then in the back there's a trans light. You see that? That's just a fluorescent bulb behind there. Now I'm going to show you in the manual because it shows where the light goes and where it is and all that stuff. So if you were to look in the manual, do you have the manual? Did you Google Tron Arcade Manual? Well, I did for you. So let me show you right here the page from the manual that shows where it goes. So as you can see, it literally just goes right there, right behind the trans light, and you can see in the photo the location. So look at the manual and use that. I know it's an old black and white crappy photo in the manual, but you should be able to look at that and kind of figure it out. All right, and Tron's great. I love Tron. I really do. We actually have one at the hangar right now. We're about to put in there. This one actually came through my Facebook page from Angie. And it says, my husband owns a Red Tent Versus system and is having an issue that we are hoping you can help with. He has RBI Baseball on a daughter card and Super Mario Brothers on the other side. The RBI Baseball game works perfectly, but the Super Mario Brothers is working, but the colors are off. He's tried a few things and nothing is working. Can you offer any suggestions? Other games on the same side, now listen to this, work perfectly, no issues with the coloring, so it's not a monitor issue, okay? Any help would be greatly appreciated, thank you. So let's talk about this. So let me grab a Nintendo Versus board over here, and well, this isn't the best one to show you. Let me get another board, hang on. I'm gonna grab a Versus board off my shelf, and we'll kind of talk about a couple places that you should look, okay? I should really get one with Versus Super Mario on it. Let me see if I can find that easily. So I'm over here at my boards. What's this one right here? Mario. That's Mock Racer. Here's Balloon Fight. Here's Super Mario. I think so. This is Ice Climber and Super Excite Bike, whatever. I know Ice Climber uses the same PPU. So, all right, let me just show you the board. You need to check one thing, okay? All right, you see these chips right here? These are the PPUs, the Picture Processing Unit. These have everything to do with color, okay? So, it's possible that you have the Super Mario ROMs in there, but the wrong PPU. So you can see here, this PPU says Super Mario on it, but if you look at the number, it's the RPTC 040004. You have to look to make sure that's the chip in this spot, okay? It's underneath the CPU. The CPU's here, the chip under it. Sometimes they have a heatsink, sometimes they don't. Regardless, it needs to say 0004, the last digits here. If it doesn't, the colors will be all screwed up. And then also, one thing to note too, you see this right here? These boards have RGB pots right here. Okay, so look to see if these got adjusted somehow. One set of pots is for one side of the board, one set of pots is for the other side. So even though the monitor colors are fine, so these pots could be all jacked up too. So that's two simple little things you could try. Now I don't know if it's gonna be your problem, but it's where you can look first. Do you have the right PPU, and are the color pots on the boards out of whack? So let me know, Angie, how that goes. And that's it. We're done. So what are we gonna do next? I'm gonna tell you what I want to do, and we're going to do this next. We're gonna finish the Cloak and Dagger, because I want to bring that down here like right away. So we're gonna do the Cloak and Dagger next. I'm gonna get iRobot fixed. I'm gonna send the board out, and then the Firefox, I'm not gonna worry about it right now. I wanna work in the garage next weekend. So we're gonna do the Cloak and Dagger, and then we're gonna do the Mortal Kombat. And I am dreading that Polo monitor. I think we're gonna go right to the cabinet. So, anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, commenting, all that stuff. It means a lot. You guys are terrific to me. So, thank you very much. And if you've never subscribed, go ahead. I release new videos at least once a week here. Usually on Monday mornings. So if you want to keep up with the content, hit subscribe. And that's it. Check out my podcast, Video Game Outsiders, at videogameoutsiders.com. We've got an app on the iOS store and Google Play, so definitely download that app. It's the best way to keep up with the podcast. There's actually bonus episodes on there, too. I do the John Show, which does talk about some arcade stuff. It's only a 10-minute podcast, but it's part of our subscription. If you subscribe to the app, with the app to the podcast, you'll get that bonus John Show and also the Michelle Show. And then Michelle and I do each week a show called Blank Outsiders, where we take on a different topic every week. So anyway, that's it. VideoGameOutsiders.com. I'll see you guys very soon. Thanks for watching. Later and bye.